Okay, so let's jump right in. We're going to break down a pretty groundbreaking study from the New England Journal of Medicine, one that could literally change the entire playbook for how we treat obesity in teenagers. And I want to be clear, this isn't about some new diet or exercise plan. We are talking about a powerful medication that might just rewrite the rules. But before we even get into the specifics of the drug, you have to understand the sheer scale of this problem. Right now, around the world, an estimated 175 million children and teenagers are living with obesity. That number, well, it really sets the stage for why this research is so incredibly important and, frankly, so urgent. So let's reframe the whole conversation right from the start. The science is really clear on this, and it's a critical shift in thinking. We have to stop looking at adolescent obesity as just a lifestyle choice. We need to see it for what it actually is, a serious and growing health crisis. Now that language right there is key, a chronic progressive disease. Let's just unpack that. It means it's long-term and it tends to get worse over time, often leading to this whole cascade of other major health issues. For years, the main approach for teens was just lifestyle counseling, diet, exercise, that sort of thing. But here's the tough reality. The data shows those efforts, while important, usually lead to pretty modest results, and long-term success is unfortunately pretty rare. And this is where the story really takes a turn. Because lifestyle changes just weren't enough for so many people, researchers started looking seriously at pharmacology. So let's get into the drug they tested and exactly how they set up the trial to see if it would actually work. So what is this stuff? Semaglutide. It's part of a class of drugs called GLP-1 receptor agonists. I know, that is a total mouthful. But the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. Your body naturally produces a hormone that basically talks to your brain. This drug mimics that hormone. It sends a signal to your brain that says, hey, we're full. It helps you feel more in control of your eating and even slows down how fast your stomach empties. It's a really powerful mechanism. And listen, this drug didn't just appear out of thin air. It already had a pretty impressive track record in adults. You can see it right here in this data from an earlier trial. Look at the massive gap that opens up between the group getting the drug and the group getting a placebo. That incredible success is exactly what prompted researchers to ask the next logical question. And that's really the heart of it, right? Seeing just how well it worked in adults, the entire medical community was asking this one central question. Could this finally be the game changer that so many teenagers and their families have been waiting for? To get a real answer, they had to do it right. So they designed what's called the STEP Teens trial. This was the gold standard of clinical research, double-blind, randomized, and placebo-controlled. They brought in 201 teens with obesity. And this is crucial. Every single one of them got the standard lifestyle and diet counseling. Then they split them up. One group got a weekly shot of semaglutide, the other got a shot of a placebo, just a saline solution. And the double-blind part means nobody, not the teens, not their parents, not even the researchers, knew who was getting what. Then they just sat back and compared what happened after 68 weeks. Okay, so the stage is set. The trial is run with incredible rigor. And now we get to the part we've all been waiting for. Let's dig into the results because, wow. And the main result was frankly staggering. So after 68 weeks, the teens who got the placebo, remember, they also got lifestyle coaching, their BMI actually went up by about 0.5%, which is pretty typical. But the group taking semaglutide, their BMI went down by an average of 16.1%. I mean, that is just a massive, massive difference. And this chart just puts it in such stark perspective. Look at that. One group essentially stayed flat, while the other group's BMI just plummeted. The visual really tells the whole story in one quick glance. But let's dig a little deeper than just the averages. The researchers wanted to know how many kids achieved what doctors consider clinically significant weight loss, which is at least 5% of their body weight. Well, in the placebo group, fewer than 1 in 5 hit that mark. But in the semaglutide group, an incredible 73%. We're talking nearly 3 out of every 4 teens. It's not even in the same ballpark. And look, we're not just talking about losing a few pounds. Check out these numbers. Over 60% of the kids on the drug lost at least 10% of their body weight. More than half of them lost over 15%. And get this, more than a third of them, 37%, lost over 20% of their total body weight. Now compare that to the placebo group, where only 3% managed to do that. The effect was just profound. Of course, whenever you see results that powerful, the next question has to be about safety. it's the other side of the coin. So let's get a full, balanced picture and look at the risks and side effects that came up during the trial.
Okay, so as you might guess, with a drug that works on the digestive system, the most common side effects were gastrointestinal issues. Things like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. And yes, they were more common in the semaglutide group. But, and this is a big but, the study found that for most people, these issues were mild to moderate, and they usually went away pretty quickly. In fact, very few participants, only 5%, actually stopped the treatment because of them.
Now, this study was also very transparent about a more notable risk. There were 5 participants in the drug group who developed what's called cholelithiasis, which is just the medical term for gallstones. That's about 4% of the group. And it's important to point out that 0 people in the placebo group had this issue. So that's definitely a key safety finding to be aware of. So where does all of this leave us? We've got absolutely stunning results on one hand and a side effect profile that's mostly manageable, but definitely not 0 risk on the other. This brings us to the big picture. What does this all mean, and where do we go from here?
Well, it's really important to remember that every study has its limits. Good science is about knowing what you don't know. First, the group of teens in the study wasn't very diverse, mostly white and female, so we can't be sure these results apply to absolutely everyone. Second, 68 weeks is a long time, but it's not a lifetime, so we don't know about the really long-term effects. And third, and this might be the biggest one, when the treatment stopped, the participants started to regain some weight. And that raises this huge question. Is this a medication that someone might need to take for life?
And that really gets to the heart of where we are now. This study has proven, beyond a doubt, that a powerful new tool exists. The breakthrough has been made, but that's just the first step. The real challenge, the question we're all left with, isn't really if we should use it. It's how should we use it? Who is the right person for it? And maybe most importantly, for how long? That is the incredibly complex and important discussion that is just beginning.